What's good, fam? It's Marty here, sitting in our Porto, Portugal Airbnb as Ange and Halo are out for the day. And I wanted to film this video because we had a few messages come through to our emails, DMs on IG and our other socials about, hey, where do I get started with my lower body everything? I've got stiff hips, I've got stiff knees and ankles, I don't know where to begin. And a lot of them start with the videos that we put out there on IG with specific foot, knee, and hip exercise. But the easiest way to begin is actually in this position here, kneeling onto the ground. Now, I know for a lot of you see this position and think this is just too uncomfortable, there's no way I can get into that position and stay in there for a long time. Just to give you a bit of context, now I know a lot of you probably already know this and have heard this from your physical practitioners, your physios, your osteos, but the reason why in the Western worlds in particular, a lot of us are so used to just sitting onto a chair and not going past the ranges our joints can go that's specific to a chair. And I'll show you what I mean here. Check this out. We are 90 degrees everywhere here in our hips, in our knees, and in our ankles. And we don't go past this position when we are seated on a chair, and we just practice getting up and down off this chair, which is why in the Western world, our ranges are very limited to this. Whilst if you visit places in Asia and the Middle East, you will find that they practice getting up and down off the ground. In Asia, they do a lot of their work here in the squat position. And they do this because they have to get into this position. They don't have a particular chair to do whatever it is they're doing. You see, I've got full ankle flexion, knee flexion, and hip flexion in this position. This is a very healthy movement to do for our ankles, knees, and our hips. And another one is the kneeling position, like I said before. And you'll notice in the Middle East, when they're, especially where they practice Islam, they are getting up and down off the ground 5 times a day to pray. So they're in this position 5 times a day. In the Western world, we almost never need to get into this position unless you practice Islam. Now, like I said, for some of us, this could be a difficult position to be in, but it is so healthy for our hips, knees, and ankles. And I've repeated that so many times, but to make it easier, I'll show you what we can do. So the first thing we need to begin with when it comes to the kneeling position is to get our body familiar with a position first. So the easiest way is to get onto your quadruped position. So all fours, hands and knees. Make sure you got something soft for your knees to be leaning on so it's not too painful for the knees. We have our toes tucked, and from here, this is a non-weight bearing way to get used to the kneeling position. It's just bringing your hips to your heels. Practice this knee flexion here and getting weight onto your heels. And you're also going to get this stretch onto the soles of your feet. So just getting used to that seated position first. And another way you could do it is just simply lean your little bit more weight onto your hands, but you want to get the pressure onto the soles of your feet or hip onto the heels. Get used to this position first. And very important that we breathe. And another thing, we never want to push through pain. There's a big difference between pain and discomfort. Pain feels like you're going to pull a muscle, break something, whilst discomfort is more just, oh, I don't like the feeling of that. This is why it's important to breathe. Because discomfort, a lot of the times, is positions that our body hasn't gone into. So with our breath, we tell our body that it's okay. Tell your body, it relaxes our nervous system, and it becomes easier to just sit in that uncomfortable position. Another way we can do this, we find ourselves a rolled up towel and we place it in between our calves and our hamstrings here to make this kneeling position a lot more comfortable. So I'm in the full kneeling position here. It's creating some space between my hamstring and my calves, making it more bearable to sit in. Another way you can do it is grab yourself, if you have a yoga bolster, have it long ways and sit your knees on either side of your bolster, toes pointed, and sit on the bolster, breathe and relax, getting used to that kneeling position. The health of your ankles, your knees, and your hips are loving it. So here it is from the side. And once you get used to that position, you're always progressing to something that's going to feel better until you can tuck the toes. This is another regression, sitting onto the heels. For some people, this could be probably a little bit harder because you're getting that stretch onto the soles of your feet. But practicing this position, just sitting onto your heels with the toes tucked, shoulders over the hips, over the heels, over the balls of your feet. Once you get used to these positions, this is actually a great lower body warm-up. So if you're going to start with some lunges, squats, deadlifts, whatever, this is a great warm-up to do just to get the joints working, non-weight bearing before you start your strength workout. So a good one to begin with is you can sit onto your heels with the toes pointed. From here, you squeeze the glutes, you press your shins into the ground, you come up, slowly come down. I'll do about 10 of these, up and down, up and down. Once you get used to that one, this one's going to be a little bit more difficult. I'll face it from a bit of an angle. We lift up with our toes pointed, one knee off at a time. You may need to shift your weight to get the other leg up. So it's going to be a bit harder to do it this way. The more progression version is we bring our hips up and down, up and down, keeping the toes pointed. Obviously, you don't have to do this one if you're just learning the kneeling position, but I just wanted to show you, for those of you who do have a strength practice, that this is a good warm-up to do. But another one we can do is just shifting our weight left to right. So bringing our bottom on the left side of our feet, come back to the middle, going over to the right. Getting used to moving our feet in all different positions. So if this is too much, just go ahead, lean forward a little bit and weight onto your hands. Shifting your weight left to right. Getting our body used to this flexion in our knees, in our ankles, and in our hips. All right, last one I want to show you is to get some hip extension into this position. So if this is a little bit too hard for you, all we do is bring our hips up. Maybe you want to tuck your toes for a little bit of support. We can lean back and tuck the tail, getting that hip extension as we lean back. Another way we can do it is we just slowly walk our hands back. It really depends on where your range is right now. You only want to go to a point where you know you can control coming back up, upright, shoulders over your hips. So find a position that you know can work for you. We're all different here. We're all working at different ranges. So it's very important to know where it is. And the way where you know that you're pushing your range a little bit too much is when you struggle to breathe. You're just going. When you're struggling to breathe, you've gone a little bit too far. So for some people, if you can lie all the way down. But like I said, you work with the range that you know you can control and get out of. All right, fam. That is it for our kneeling tutorial, or why it is good for you. It's so healthy, as I've been saying throughout this video, for our hips, our knees, and our ankles, because we're exploring our end ranges of motion and we're getting strong in those positions. Because the little range we bring them in, the little range we have, exposing us to more injury. So I highly encourage you, everybody, to work on the ranges for the health of their hips, knees, and ankles. All right, fam, if you enjoyed this video, do send us a comment, give us a like, share this video, maybe subscribe, so that way we can keep giving you more content such as this. All right, fam, hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great one. See ya.